Hello everyone and welcome to Bloodline, the taxonomy of fear, where we examine what, if anything, makes a movie scary.
And today we are at long last going to examine torture porn.
Which, to be clear, is not porn the way food porn isn't people having sex with food.
Not today, at least.
No, not today.
Today we examine torture porn through the lens of The Collection, the sequel to 2009's The Collector.
Decent movie.
Decent movie indeed. And in this installment, a young woman named Elena has been kidnapped by the Collector and trapped in his hell house of horrors. And Arkin, our thief hero from the first installment, is enlisted with a few mercenaries to go rescue her.
Yep, so here we go. All right, so what defines torture porn? Jordan?
First of all, big surprise, it's the torture. The bulk of the creative energy in these kinds of movies is set towards how do people die, where do they die, what do the pieces of them look like when they're like set apart next to each other on a table, those sorts of things. You know, storyline could be thin, character could be thin, but whatever, this is about devices and ways of dying.
This movie had a little bit of that, but it wasn't like Hostel, or it wasn't like, or Saw. There was some torture, but it wasn't completely the whole thing.
If torture could be understated,
yes,
I think that's what was delivered here, which I feel good about.
Yes. Number two, revenge. You're not going to have to sit through all that torture and not get the satisfying other side of that equation. Torture porn movies tend to have this where one of the victims has an awesome and equally horrific revenge on the perpetrator of that torture. Yeah,
the end of the movie Saw, even way back when to I Spit on Your Grave, there is supreme vindication coming with these movies because you have earned it after watching what you've watched.
In this movie, though, you will have had to have seen the first one in order for the revenge of the second one to make much more sense and much more satisfactory.
Yeah, this can be a standalone, but it definitely benefits from having watched the first one for sure.
And number three?
The third element, and my favorite, is the terrible place. Again, all that creative energy funneling into how to kill people, you need an environment in which God, family, familiarity, police, anything that can come to rescue you or provide relief to your plight does not exist. Abandon your hope entirely.
It tends to be a very static place where the bad guy can set up his whole torture system. And this dude in this movie was like the Rube Goldberg of torture people.
Masterclass.
There were pulleys and there were levers and there were clamps. It was just all so like installation art. In fact, he did have some installation art.
He even had an art gallery, yeah.
It was kind of ridiculous.
So that's the linchpin, the terrible place, and this has one.
Yes.
All right, the insomnia factor. Jay, how many hours of sleep did you forfeit after The Collection?
Kind of none, because torture porn in the end is not really my thing. Torture, blood. I prefer more of a build-up. But in the end, this was a good ride, sort of a satisfying movie. I liked it. And you?
I like that ride. Nightmare Disneyland.
Yes, exactly.
And I didn't lose any hours of sleep because the ending was so vindicating, so satisfying. I walked out of that theater ready to just like throw a fist in the air and cheer for
pretty satisfying.
Cheer for the developments that happened.
Yeah. Horror movie survival lessons. What did we learn from The Collection? Number one, stay fit. Like CrossFit philosophy. Speed, agility, strength will get you out of a tight squeeze, like literally a tight squeeze.
Yeah, and if you're in a tight enough squeeze, remember that sticks and stones may break your bones, but a snapped arm may be able to fit through a cage and open a locked latch.
Yes, and finally, number three, sometimes you just gotta shoot a homeless person. It kind of worked in the movie.
I mean, the tactic worked.
It was terrible, but it worked.
Yeah. Video pick of the week. What did The Collection put you in the mind for, Jay?
I'm going to recommend Takeshi Miike's Audition. You will never look at Piano Wire the same way again.
That's a guarantee. And I'm going to say Hostel Part 2, which I thought was superior to Part 1. I got behind the story a little bit more, and I like to see some ladies kicking ass.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah. So that concludes this segment of Bloodline. Come back, check us out in a couple weeks, and we'll bring another installment of horror goodness to you.
Email us at bloodline@wired.com. We'd like to hear from you. And as we like to say here at Bloodline, remember, it's just a movie.